There's a moment, usually late at night, when everything is quiet, where your mind pulls you back to a conversation that already ended. Maybe hours ago, maybe days. You replay the exact words someone used, the pause before they answered, the way their voice shifted slightly when they said, "Fine." You search for what they really meant, what you should have said differently, whether something is wrong between you. And at some point, someone told you to stop, that you're overthinking, that you're too sensitive, that normal people don't do this. Here's what they didn't know. You're not replaying those conversations because something is broken in you. You're doing it because your mind operates at a depth most people never reach. And psychology has a very specific explanation for why. Conversation replay isn't random noise. It isn't anxiety misfiring. It's a structured cognitive process, one that follows predictable patterns and emerges from a distinct set of mental and emotional traits. Traits that researchers estimate exist in fewer than 1 in 5 people. Your brain isn't stuck. It's working. It's processing layers of social information that most minds simply filter out and discard. The default mode network, the part of your brain active during self-reflection and social reasoning, stays engaged long after a conversation ends, because for you, the analysis isn't finished yet. In this video, we're going inside the mind of someone who replays conversations, not to pathologize it, not to fix it, but to finally understand it, and to show you what it actually says about the way you're wired. The radar you never asked for. Most people walk away from a conversation and forget it within the hour. The words fade, the details blur, life moves on. You don't work that way. While someone else was simply talking, you were running a parallel process, tracking the slight hesitation before their answer, the way their energy shifted when a certain topic came up, the word they chose instead of the more obvious one. You weren't trying to. You just couldn't not. Psychologists call this high social monitoring, a heightened sensitivity to interpersonal cues that most people's brains treat as background noise. Research consistently places it in roughly 15 to 20% of the population. And here's what matters. It doesn't switch off when the conversation ends. Your brain keeps processing because the analysis isn't finished yet. The replay isn't compulsion. It's your mind completing what it started. But for people like you, conversations aren't just information. They're felt. Deeply. Long after the words are gone, the emotional residue stays. Someone says something slightly careless, and hours later, you're still sitting with it, trying to understand not just what they said, but why it landed the way it did. Psychologists call this sensory processing sensitivity. Around 20% of people carry it. They don't just experience emotions in the moment, they process them thoroughly, repeatedly, at a depth others simply don't access. You felt the emotional truth underneath the surface words, and your brain couldn't file it away. It needed to understand it. That's not weakness. That's a nervous system that takes people seriously. The exhausting part is that you carry more than most people realize. Not just your own emotions, but the undercurrents of everyone around you. But that same depth is what makes you capable of genuine connection. Real empathy. The kind that actually understands what someone is going through from the inside. Your radar and your sensitivity aren't two separate things. They're the same gift, working together. The map your mind keeps drawing. Here's something most people never consider. When you replay a conversation, you're not just reviewing the past. You're building a map of what comes next. Your brain isn't stuck, it's strategizing. Psychologists call this predictive social modeling, the cognitive tendency to analyze behavioral patterns in order to anticipate future outcomes. And it emerges most strongly in people whose early environments required them to stay one step ahead. If you grew up somewhere emotionally unpredictable, where moods shifted without warning, where you had to read the room before you could safely speak, your brain learned that pattern recognition wasn't optional. It was protection. So now, even in safe situations, it keeps running that same program. It replays a conversation not to torture you, but to extract intelligence. It's asking, what did that tone mean? Were they being honest? Did something shift between us? What happens next time we talk? These aren't irrational spirals. They're probability assessments your mind runs automatically and has been running for years. And here's what's worth sitting with. You're usually right. When your gut tells you something is off, when you sense a relationship quietly shifting, when you catch an inconsistency between what someone said and how they said it, that instinct is built on real data. Data your brain has been collecting, cataloging, and cross-referencing without you even consciously noticing. Most people don't analyze social interactions this way. They react as things unfold. You're constantly running simulations, preparing responses, mapping possibilities. It drains your mental energy, absolutely. But it also means you're rarely blindsided. You see shifts in relationships before they become ruptures. You catch dishonesty before it becomes damage. You understand people's patterns sometimes better than they understand themselves. That's not overthinking. That's thinking strategically. And while it costs you, it also makes you one of the most perceptive people in any room you walk into. The part that's still protecting you. Now we go deeper. Because for many people who replay conversations, there's a layer underneath the analysis, one that has nothing to do with curiosity and everything to do with safety. If you notice that your replaying tends to focus on what might have gone wrong, what someone might have really meant, whether you said something that upset them, psychology has a name for what's happening. It's called hypervigilance, a state where your nervous system stays on alert, scanning for potential threat, even when the environment around you is completely safe. For many people, this developed early. In households where love felt conditional, where criticism came without warning, where you had to monitor someone else's emotional state just to know how your day was going to go. Your brain didn't develop this pattern because something was wrong with you. It developed it because at the time, it kept you safe. Reading people accurately, anticipating reactions, replaying interactions to check for danger. That was adaptive. That was intelligent. That was survival. The problem is that the brain doesn't automatically update when the environment changes. So now, years later, in relationships that are genuinely safe, that same protective system keeps running. It replays conversations looking for signs of rejection. It searches for evidence that someone is pulling away. It asks over and over, "Am I okay here? Did I do something wrong? Are we still okay?" That's not you being broken. That's a nervous system that learned vigilance equals safety, and hasn't yet been shown that it can stand down. The shift begins with understanding this. When you catch yourself replaying a conversation out of fear rather than genuine curiosity, you can pause and recognize what's actually happening. Not overthinking, not weakness. A part of you, still standing guard, still trying to protect you the only way it knows how. You can thank it for that. And then, gently, begin to show it that you're safe now. If you replay conversations, you are not broken. You are not too much. You are not someone who needs to be quieted or told to just let it go. You are someone whose mind takes people seriously, who feels the weight of words long after they've been spoken, who notices what others walk past without a second thought. That's not a disorder. That's a way of moving through the world that comes with real cost and real depth. The replaying may never fully stop, and maybe it doesn't need to. What changes is how you relate to it. You learn to recognize when it's giving you something useful, and when it's just the old protective part of you, still standing guard long after the danger has passed. You think deeply. You feel fully. You notice everything. That's not a flaw. That's who you are.